White people.
Okay, white America. I come with a message from black America. We are leaving. We are leaving. You have won. All of us are leaving. All the colored people, all the brown people, we are leaving. You're gonna get what you want. We are leaving. We are leaving, okay? You're gonna get what you want. You say you all want us out of America, we are leaving.
The Great Migration is starting to occur, guys. And this is an international version. A lot of Black Americans are looking to move overseas. This is something that I did during COVID, and I decided, you know what, this is not working for me. I wanted to remove myself from the rat race.
400 years ago, a dark chapter in human history began. 12.5 million Africans were captured and sold into slavery. Torn from their homes, they endured a perilous journey across the ocean. One so brutal that only about 10.7 million survived. The ocean became a grave for nearly 2 million people. Upon arrival, they were forced to labor on plantations, growing sugar, tobacco, and cotton. Their sweat and blood fueled the rise of Western economies. They were stripped of their names, their languages, their cultures. Families were torn apart at a moment's notice. This trauma became embedded in the DNA of their descendants. Centuries later, slavery was abolished. But one thing never truly disappeared: racism. Today, the divide between Black and white Americans remains stark. It's the anxiety of being followed in a store, the fear of an encounter with police, the exhaustion of having to prove your worth over and over again. Then came 2020. The brutal killing of George Floyd, captured on video for all to see, was a moment of collective trauma and outrage. For millions of Black Americans, it felt like a breaking point. The so-called land of freedom began to feel more like a psychological prison. This was the tipping point that turned consideration into action. Thousands began making a monumental decision. They were packing up their lives in the United States, moving to Africa. They were choosing to leave behind the so-called land of the American dream, to build a new life on the continent of their ancestors. For decades, this would have seemed unthinkable. At the same time, millions of Africans were risking everything to reach the West. So why this sudden shift? Why are so many now looking toward a continent they've been taught to fear? The reasons are as diverse as the people making the journey. This is more than just a social media trend. It represents a deep collective yearning for something more, a search for belonging that has been elusive for so long. People are seeking a place where they can feel safe, seen, valued for who they are, a place where they can finally exhale and just be. This growing exodus challenges the belief that success can only be found in the West. These individuals are pioneers of a new era, forging a path back to a homeland they've only known through stories and DNA tests. A major turning point happened in 2019. Ghana launched a bold campaign called the Year of Return. 2019 marked exactly 400 years since the first enslaved Africans arrived in Virginia. Ghana, once a major center of the slave trade, decided to commemorate this anniversary with its infamous Doors of No Return, by opening its doors wide with a call for descendants to come back home. The campaign targeted the African diaspora, especially African Americans. The Ghanaian government encouraged people of African descent to visit. They streamlined visa processes. They hosted cultural events, festivals, ceremonies throughout the year. The message was clear: you were taken from here, but you are welcome back. The response was overwhelming. Thousands of African Americans answered the call. They flocked to Ghana as tourists and as pilgrims. They walked through the same slave castles where their ancestors were held. They stood at the door of no return. But this time, they were able to walk back through it. For many, this was an incredibly transformative experience, confronting the past, healing old wounds, feeling a tangible connection to their roots for the first time. Take the story of Sanjaya Davis, a successful therapist from Washington, D.C. On the outside, she was living the American dream, but on the inside, she was living with constant, gnawing fear. Every time she left her house, she was filled with anxiety. Her biggest fear? A routine traffic stop with police. She worried, am I going to come out of it alive? The breaking point was George Floyd's murder in 2020. Watching that video, she felt herself nearing a breakdown. That's when she knew she had to get out. Having visited Ghana during the Year of Return, she already felt a connection, so she packed up her life and moved. Today, she runs her therapy practice online from Ghana. She admits she sometimes misses American conveniences, but what she has gained is far more valuable. I feel loved, I feel supported, I feel regarded. I don't feel like I'm looked at for the color of my skin. I'm just another person here. Morris Bridger, a former U.S. Navy SEAL, also chose Ghana. When asked why he left America, his answer is simple. Nobody's going to get shot tonight in Ghana. A man who fought for his country feels safer in West Africa than in the United States. While the year of return opened the door, the events of 2020 pushed thousands to walk through it. The summer of 2020 saw the explosion of Black Lives Matter across the United States and, honestly, the world. The brutal killing of George Floyd, captured on video, was a moment of collective trauma and outrage. It was followed by the death of Breonna Taylor, the death of Ahmaud Arbery, and so many others, laying bare deep-seated systemic racism. For millions of Black Americans, it felt like a breaking point. The protests were a cry for justice, a demand to be heard. But for many, it was also profound disillusionment. After decades of struggle, little had fundamentally changed. The country that represented freedom felt increasingly hostile and unsafe. Constant exposure to brutality created intense stress and exhaustion. The land of the free began to feel like a psychological prison. This was the tipping point that turned consideration into action. The desire to leave was no longer vague. It became urgent necessity. Dr. Erika Bennett of the African Diaspora Forum recalled, "After George Floyd's death, the floodgates opened. Her organization was overwhelmed with inquiries. At least 300 people contacted them every single day, all asking the same question: how can we relocate to Ghana?" The movement served as confirmation of fears many had lived with. No matter how successful you were, your life could be endangered simply because of your skin color. This led to a massive surge in people seeking a way out. They weren't just looking for a change of scenery, they were looking for fundamental change in their reality, a place where their children could grow up without the same fears. The wave wasn't stopping in West Africa, it was spreading east. Kenneth Harris, a retired U.S. veteran, found peace in Kenya. He dreamed of a place where his dark skin was belonging, not a target. Today he runs a thriving Airbnb business in Nairobi, living a lifestyle that was out of reach in America. Within the Black community, coming home carries deep weight. For many, Nairobi offers the perfect mix: tropical climate, vibrant culture, modern conveniences, and most importantly, a sense of belonging. From Ghana to Rwanda, from Gambia to Tanzania, Africa is becoming the new frontier for those seeking peace and opportunity. The question is, could this movement transform not just lives, but the entire continent? And many who moved are discovering tangible rewards. One major advantage: business opportunity in a growing market. For entrepreneurs, it means less competition and ground floor access. Adila Muhammad moved to Kenya and founded a relocation service. She helps families transition, finding homes, setting up bank accounts. Her business is booming. Clients book years in advance. Another major draw is the significantly lower cost of living. In the U.S., many work long hours to cover high costs. In many African cities, the U.S. dollar goes much further. This financial freedom is life-changing. People can afford a lifestyle out of reach in America, living beautifully, sending children to private school. YouTuber Austin Holloman settled in Kenya and loves the community. When his taxi broke down, a stranger helped within minutes. Of course, the journey home is not without challenges. One major issue is potential class divide between newcomers and locals. Many arrive with the power of the US dollar. That disparity can create tension or resentment. Building genuine connections needs sensitivity, humility, a real effort to understand local culture and economy. Beyond economics, cultural adjustments are needed. Different customs, languages, ways of life. Basic services may not be reliable: electricity, internet. So where does this all lead? We are witnessing a great reversal of a journey that began in chains. Thousands are choosing to build their futures in Africa. On one hand, the potential is immense. Returnees bring savings, investments, skills, and global networks. They are doctors, lawyers, engineers, artists, entrepreneurs. Imagine combining diaspora resources with Africa's vibrant potential. It could be a partnership that transforms nations. This movement forces important reflection for everyone. For Africans, it's a reminder of the incredible value of what they have. When people leave the richest nation for African community and safety, it encourages renewed appreciation for the continent's resources. Ultimately, this is about healing a 400-year-old wound, rebuilding a family that was torn apart, building bridges of understanding instead of walls of resentment. The Great Return is not just an end to one story, but the beginning of a new one. A shared story of hope, empowerment, and the incredible possibility that arises when a people, separated by oceans and centuries, finally begin to come home.